In this video, I'll be showing you how to route Ableton's audio to come out of your computer speakers, which is your built-in output, and also how to set up an external output for sending your audio through a sound card to a different set of speakers. Next, I'll look at how you can set up any Midi keyboards or control devices you may have for live, such as Ableton Push. Firstly, we must navigate to Live's preferences in the top left-hand drop-down of the software. We can also do this by using the keyboard shortcut Command and Comma. From here, we can select the Audio tab. Here, you can select your audio output driver. For Mac, you're going to want to choose Core Audio, and for Windows, choose ASIO driver. For the audio output device, we want to select built-in output. This is the computer's built-in speakers. And for the input, we want to select built-in input. This will default to the computer's built-in microphone. If you're using an external sound card, you're going to want to select this from the Audio Output Device drop-down menu. In this case, mine's the Native Instruments Audio 10 sound card, which goes to my speakers. When you're using a sound card, you should make sure you've installed any relevant sound card software and drivers so that it works properly within Live. As you can see, I can also set other input devices, such as my USB microphone. We can now set up and check the input and output configuration for our sound card. We can select from mono and stereo inputs and outputs. We can also deactivate inputs and outputs by clicking on them. If you're unsure, then just leave all your inputs and outputs selected. We can now test the configuration using the test tone button at the bottom. If all is set up correctly, you'll hear a test tone come through your speakers. We're now going to set up some Midi controllers in Live. A Midi controller can be used to input note information into Live, such as playing the notes of a piano, synthesizer or drum kit, as well as loads of other parameters such as note velocity, aftertouch or pitch bend. If you don't have a Midi controller or a keyboard yet, then I recommend getting one, but for now, you can use your computer keyboard as your Midi keyboard. To turn it on, all you've got to do is press the keyboard icon in the top right of the screen. When using our computer keyboard as a Midi keyboard, we can use the X and Z buttons to move up and down the octave range. If you are using any Midi devices, make sure you install the relevant software and drivers so it works properly within Live. For the Midi, I'll show you how to set up my complete control keyboard by Native Instruments. Firstly, we've got to go to the Preferences, then navigate to the Midi Sync tab. This tab will show you a list of any control surfaces that you may have, as well as any Midi devices that you have turned on and plugged in. Many of these devices will set themselves up automatically. However, it's good practice to understand these different settings if you ever have to set up your Midi devices manually. Next to our list of Midi devices, we've got 3 columns: Track, Sync, and Remote. Track needs to be turned on if you want to send any note information to any devices within Live. So if you want to send any note information from a keyboard or Midi controller to any devices such as operator, simpler, or a drum rack, then you need to make sure this is turned on. Next we have Sync. This needs to be turned on if we want to sync up Ableton Live's MIDI clock to any external Midi devices. Next we have Remote. This needs to be turned on if we want to be able to control a wider range of Live's parameters from our Midi device, such as transport controls and clip launching. In this case, we're going to turn Track and Remote on for all of our Midi devices. Next, we're going to look at instant mappings. Many Midi devices and controllers, like Akai, Machine and Push, have been made to natively map to many of Live's functions. For example, the transport, tempo and clip launch buttons may be mapped to the relevant buttons on your controller. Or you may have endless encoder knobs, which will map to the macro controls of whatever device you have in focus at the time. You can select the control surface from the drop-down menu, and then select the inputs and outputs. If your device isn't listed, it may still be possible to use it as a control surface. You'll just have to download the relevant scripts, and then put them into the control surface template folder. We can test if the Midi devices are working by pressing a key on one of our Midi controllers. A yellow square will light up in the top right of the screen to show that the Midi information is being received. If there's an instant mapping, then this yellow box will light up instead. In this video, we've looked at audio input and output settings as well as how to set up Midi controllers. In the next video, we're going to take a look at latency.